It's actually pathetic. Like, I actually am concerned. If anybody liked this campaign, we really have to look at you and study your brain and figure out what the hell about this is likable. And like, whoever made this, we need to question, like, are they actually okay to be working at these studios? Why the f do they have a job? They clearly have never played a Call of Duty game in their life, whoever made this campaign. I'm gonna say that. And if they did play Call of Duty campaign, if they were a part of any Call of Duty game in the past, a good one, Treyarch, Raven, Sledgehammer, whoever the hell made the campaign, whoever was in charge of that, look at the person that was the director of this shit, go in their office, pack that shit up for them, because they probably don't have the mental capacity to do it themselves. They probably drop everything. They would have no clue. Pack up their office and say, go home. Go home, go on the internet, find a fucking job, because you ain't working here, because that's where I'm at this point with this game.
Going back to Infinite Warfare, why do you think the community gave up on it before it even came out? The jetpack fatigue was real. After 3 advanced movement era CODs in a row, it was time for change. And 1 year later, you bet your Call of Duty returned to boots on ground in World War II. Fast forward to today, with Black Ops 7, COD players are experiencing the same fatigue, but with lightning fast omni movement. Let's focus on that lightning fast part first though. Back on Modern Warfare 2 2022, Infinity Ward slowed the movement way down, which much of the community hated. As a result, Sledgehammer Games sped it back up in Modern Warfare 3 2023. Did the developers listen to the community? Sure, but it created a whole other problem. Not only was MW3's movement faster than MW2's, it was faster than ever before. As it became the norm for players to run, jump, and slide around like Dash from The Incredibles, multiplayer became unplayable. And Treyarch not only doubled down on fast movement speeds in Black Ops 6,
we haven't even had the Battlefield game that we've wanted for so long, to where my ass has been in ground war on Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2019. You can also pay for views on YouTube, right? Because they're going to market these things. They want it to get more views. They're going to pay to boost it and give it extra views and everything. But the dislikes would speak more volumes. This one says 97,000 dislikes on Black Ops 7 compared to 832 on Black Ops 6. That's insane. That's insane. And I think this is the potential that a lot of Battlefield has. It's the people that have been disenfranchised from Call of Duty, that don't like Call of Duty anymore, that are looking for a different game to play, that might be willing to now switch over to Battlefield, where it's not as big of a niche game. Maybe they do create a good BR that attracts a lot of the players from there, and that's how they're going to try and acquire 100 million players. That's probably their goal with it. That's a big difference. Oh, do you think Activision is scared right now? I mean, I don't know, but I hope that this is them deciding to step their game up and start to do bigger and better updates.
You know how every once in a while someone makes a bold prediction and everyone calls them insane? And then months later, the impossible actually happens? That's exactly what's going on right now in the gaming world. Because not too long ago, people were laughing at the idea that Battlefield 6 could threaten Call of Duty, mocking it, downplaying it, treating it like desperate hopium from a fan base hungry for a comeback. But fast forward to today, and suddenly the entire situation has flipped. Call of Duty just delivered one of its weakest launches in years, while Battlefield 6 is quietly breaking records nobody thought it had any chance of touching. Revenue, sales, player interest, all pointing in a direction that Activision absolutely did not expect. And the craziest part? This didn't just rattle the fans, it rattled the industry. Because for the first time in years, Call of Duty isn't the one setting the pace. It's the one catching up. But none of this happened overnight. This is the result of a massive storm brewing behind the scenes. And when you see the full picture, it makes perfect sense why everything exploded the way it did.
Stop bringing back Menendez. Stop bringing back Mason.
And here's the thing that I really want to stop saying every year, but I feel like I have to. You can enjoy Black Ops 7. I question your taste, but please don't defend it, because you deserve better. Things are only getting worse. Like,
yes,
the idea that this was worse than Modern Warfare 3's campaign just blows my mind.
You a terrorist?
No.
You look like one.
But I can see it
in
just the clips I've watched. What would I even say about this game? Oh, look at what they've done with Frank Woods. I really love his character arc. You know, at first he was like a Vietnam veteran, then he was a wheelchair-bound elderly man, and then he turned into an onion.
I'm a goddamn onion, Mason.
And now he's a giant Venus flytrap. Yes, excellent
what
work,
is
Raven
this?
Treyarch.
Onion.
Yes, give the writing team a raise. What wonderful character development. Like, what the f am I looking at? What am I supposed to say about it?
Black Ops 7 hit the market barely a week ago, and the reaction wasn't what anyone expected. For once, the community wasn't united in anger, it was split, almost evenly. Some players came out praising the visuals, the maps, the new camo progression system. Others said the movement was solid, the grind felt rewarding, and the game finally felt like Treyarch trying again. But that praise came with a massive problem, because just as many players felt the opposite. They called it lazy. They said it felt recycled. They said it was literally Black Ops 6 with a wall jump and a new paint job. And deep down, that's the issue nobody at Activision wants to admit. Releasing Black Ops 7 immediately after Black Ops 6 was a terrible idea. 2 Treyarch titles back-to-back with barely any breathing room? That's not strategy, that's fatigue. Even the most die-hard COD fans were struggling to find excitement for another game that looked like an updated patch rather than a real evolution. Steam charts nosedived. Physical sales dropped by more than half in the UK. And no matter how many COD loyalists try to pretend Steam doesn't matter, trends matter, and the trend was obvious. The hype wasn't there, the momentum wasn't there, and the player energy wasn't there. But Battlefield's energy? That was something else entirely. Out of nowhere, Battlefield 6 didn't just launch well, it launched insanely well. The kind of launch that turns heads in boardrooms, that makes publishers scramble behind closed doors, that forces companies like Activision to rethink their next move. Charlie Intel, one of the biggest names in FPS reporting, dropped the bombshell. Battlefield 6 had the biggest launch month of any game in the past 3 years. Not the biggest shooter, not the biggest EA release, the biggest game. Only Modern Warfare 2019's reboot beat it, and that was pure nostalgia magic.
And Treyarch again not only doubled down on fast movement speeds and omni movement in Black Ops 7, they made movement even faster. And now you can bounce off walls like a dweeb. It's time to slow it down. I hate this game. And finally, we have number 3, the elephant in the room. Skill-based matchmaking. Ever since Modern Warfare 2019, Call of Duty has been poisoned by SBMM. It's this horrible matchmaking system which is designed to make every match as equally balanced as possible between each team. In other words, you're gonna have garbage teammates and play against CDL Pro wannabes. The idea is to keep everyone to as close to a 1 KD and a 1 win-loss ratio as possible. And as COD players continue to experience this throughout the Warzone era, more and more players quit the franchise for good. And here we are with Black Ops 7, where pre-orders are lower than ever and...
Overall, Doc, Battlefield 6 surpasses Black Ops 7. You want me to just be honest? Because of this bloom, or whatever you want to call it, it makes the gunplay on Call of Duty, Black Ops 7, like, so much better. I hate to say that, because the beta felt really good. Right now, I'm feeling the effects of a low-level weapon, number one. Number two, a little bit of this bloom and randomization of where my bullets are going to go. From a feel standpoint, from a gun standpoint, like Black Ops 7's was actually feeling pretty nice. Believe it or not, even on mouse and keyboard. Plus, my brain is fried from 9 hours of straight video games staring at an LCD screen. Battlefield 6 gives Battlefield 3 vibes. I agree. And here's the thing, though. I'm having fun with both. I think Treyarch's got their together with a multiplayer this year, especially with like map design. But damn, their Warzone. Whew.
Battlefield 6 didn't rely on nostalgia. It didn't rely on a famous sub-franchise. It didn't even rely on a giant marketing stunt. It simply launched and instantly dominated the charts. Number 1 on Xbox, number 1 on PC, number 2 on PlayStation, only behind NBA 2K26, and the best-selling Battlefield title in the entire franchise. Even surpassing Battlefield 1, something long-term fans never imagined. People said Battlefield was done. People said EA was cooked. People said the franchise would never recover. But instead, Battlefield delivered its strongest punch in a decade. And to make things even sweeter for EA, it happened during the weakest Call of Duty launch in years. But this wasn't just a sales victory. This moment was the beginning of a much bigger shift. Inside Activision, someone has to be furious right now, because the writing was on the wall long before Black Ops 7 released. Call of Duty fatigue was real. Black Ops 6 was one of the roughest CODs in recent memory. Players were exhausted, frustrated, ready for something new. And Activision's solution was another Treyarch game, right after the last one. Instead of breathing room, they doubled down. Instead of rebuilding trust, they rushed out another title. Instead of changing direction, they repeated themselves and called it innovation. So now, every major metric that used to be CSOD's strength has started slipping. Steam player count, down. User sentiment, split. Content creator excitement, controlled at best. Physical sales, falling off a cliff. Trend awareness, almost non-existent. Meanwhile, Battlefield 6 picked the perfect moment to strike. COD was tired. COD fans were tired. And EA delivered a game that actually felt different, not perfect, but different enough to spark curiosity from people who hadn't touched the franchise in years. COD walked into the fight exhausted. Battlefield walked in swinging. And Activision suddenly found itself reacting instead of leading. But the wildest twist? COD's improvements weren't even inspired by its own community. Here's the part that caught everyone off guard, even the COD fanboys who didn't want to admit it. For years, people begged Activision to bring back old-school features. Less SBMM, no more disbanding lobbies, more transparency, better communication, actual dev updates that weren't PR nonsense. And for years, Activision ignored them. Then Battlefield 6 started gaining traction. Videos blew up. The hype spread. The player base grew. Suddenly, COD wasn't competing with itself anymore. It was competing with another FPS giant that was finally alive again. And magically, Activision changed everything. Suddenly, devs were talking. Patches were faster. SBMM felt lighter. Lobbies stopped breaking apart. Feedback didn't fall on deaf ears. COD fanboys tried to argue that Activision didn't listen to the complainers, but in the same breath they claimed Battlefield 6 forced COD to step up, meaning Battlefield did the heavy lifting. Battlefield pushed the envelope. Battlefield forced COD to evolve. COD didn't fix itself. Competition fixed COD. And that's the irony nobody saw coming. The game COD fans mocked for years ended up saving the franchise from its own laziness. But the bigger war was just starting, because a corporate rivalry was brewing underneath everything that players were arguing about. What most players didn't notice is that the rivalry wasn't only happening between fan bases. Behind the scenes, EA and Activision were firing shots at each other without ever saying each other's names. And EA made the first aggressive move. Right after Black Ops 7 launched, literally days after COD's most important release window, EA posted their record-breaking Battlefield 6 revenue numbers. They didn't wait. They didn't hold back. They didn't let COD have its spotlight. They launched the news straight into the gaming timeline like a precision strike. It was corporate warfare dressed as a fun fact, and Activision knew it. EA wasn't simply celebrating their success. They were sending a message: your throne is not untouchable anymore.
Boy howdy, let me tell you, it really does feel like they just tried to draw Warzone from memory here for RedSec. It is 1-to-1 in certain instances. Like, it feels very copy and pasted in a lot of ways. Like, I'm pretty confident there are times where you could show side-by-side gameplay of Warzone and RedSec and you wouldn't be able to differentiate which is which. It is very similar in a lot of ways, but the thing that sets it apart is the Battlefield 6 gunplay. Like, the gameplay elements in Battlefield 6 versus Warzone are very different. And for my tastes, I prefer it. So I've had more fun with RedSec than I had with Warzone. Warzone I have many more hours than RedSec with, obviously, but I hate Warzone now. I think it sucks major ass. That is some turbo cheeks over there. RedSec at least feels fun to play. It feels nice. I prefer the Battlefield formula, so I've been having more fun with RedSec. But if you already like Warzone, I don't know if RedSec's gonna win you over.
To make things even more uncomfortable for Activision, Battlefield 6 became the #1 seller on Xbox and PC. It held the #2 spot on PlayStation behind a sports title, not another shooter, and it was dominating physical and digital charts simultaneously. This wasn't a small win. It was a statement, a warning, a sharpening of knives before the real fight started. Because Battlefield wasn't just back. Battlefield was challenging the undisputed king of shooters and winning the first round of the fight with nothing but momentum and timing. But the most interesting part, the fans reacted even stronger than the companies. And that's where things spiraled into something nobody predicted. As soon as Battlefield's sales numbers dropped, the internet turned into a war zone. Not in-game, online. Two massive communities collided, and neither side was willing to back down. Battlefield veterans were ecstatic. After a decade of pain, disappointment, and half-finished launches, they finally had something to celebrate. Something concrete, something the COD side couldn't brush off with excuses. Meanwhile, COD loyalists were scrambling. Some said the numbers didn't matter. Others claimed Game Pass made direct comparisons unfair. Some even tried to argue that Steam charts were irrelevant. Despite years of using those charts as proof, COD was fine. Every number posted, every graph shared, every statistic released became fuel. For Battlefield fans, it was proof that COD had finally been humbled. For COD fans, it was a sign of betrayal, a moment where their franchise no longer held absolute dominance. The insults flew faster than bullets. Cope. COD is cooked. Battlefield is carried by hype. COD players can't handle competition. BF6 is peak gaming. BO7 is just a patch sold for $70. It got messy, emotional, personal. But underneath all the trash talk, something important was happening. The fans weren't just arguing, they were shaping the direction of both games. Because developers pay attention to trends, publishers react to the noise. And right now, Battlefield's noise was louder than anything COD expected. But what came next changed everything for both franchises. For years, players begged Activision to bring back older COD values. They wanted fewer skill-based systems. They wanted stable lobbies. They wanted real communication from developers. They wanted updates that weren't just skin bundles. They wanted a game that respected their time. Activision ignored most of it because they could. COD was the only giant still standing. Battlefield was stumbling. Halo drifted away. Titanfall disappeared. Apex had its lane. Escape from Tarkov was niche. So, when players complained, Activision didn't feel the pressure to change. But the moment Battlefield 6 exploded, everything shifted. Suddenly, COD devs were doing interviews. Commitments to fix servers started popping up. SBMM adjustments were made quietly. The user experience actually mattered again. Treyarch was addressing issues in real time, not in PR scripts. And the only reason Activision did any of this wasn't community complaints. It was competition. Players weren't just yelling into the void anymore. They had a real alternative. The moment people started saying, "I'm switching to Battlefield," Activision finally flinched. The truth is simple. Battlefield 6 didn't just succeed, it forced COD to try again. This is the healthiest the FPS genre has been in years. Two giant franchises pushing each other, improving because the rival is breathing down their neck. And ironically, whether they admit it or not, both communities are benefiting from this fight. But things were about to escalate even more, because the sales narrative wasn't over. What came next was the question that kept both fan bases awake. This is the moment that nobody thought would ever be possible. Not in the 2000s, not in the 2010s, not even 5 years ago. Battlefield outselling Call of Duty? This wasn't even a fantasy, it was a joke. But now, it's a very real possibility. Black Ops 7 still has Game Pass numbers to lean on. And yes, that could inflate player count. But Game Pass players aren't purchases, they're not revenue. They don't count toward traditional success metrics the industry actually respects. Sales do, commitment does, consumer choice does. And if Battlefield 6 sells more actual copies than Black Ops 7, that would be historic on a level gaming hasn't seen in decades. It would prove COD can no longer rely on brand loyalty. The FPS genre is truly competitive. Again, players are craving something different. Battlefield is officially back from the grave. Activision's formula is starting to crack. And if Battlefield 6 wins that sales battle, even if COD has more raw players because of Game Pass, Battlefield still wins the year. Because players choosing to spend money on an EA game over a COD game sends a message Activision can't ignore. And yes, if that happens, both companies will feel the impact. But the craziest twist is this. No matter who wins the war, both communities stand to gain something huge. When you strip away the trash talk, the memes, the tribalism, something incredible is happening. The FPS genre is coming back to life. For years, shooters were stagnating. COD was stale. Battlefield was lost. Halo was drifting. New shooters failed to make waves, but now, two giants are throwing everything they have at each other, and players are reaping the rewards. Battlefield fans are getting the best game the franchise has had in almost a decade. COD fans are finally getting dev transparency and meaningful updates. Both games are actually trying again. Both communities are energized. Both sides have options, competition, and reasons to be invested. This is what gaming was missing. Not a single dominant franchise, not blind loyalty, but a fight. A rivalry that forces studios to listen, innovate, and improve. And that leads us to the final takeaway. This isn't about Battlefield beating COD or COD beating Battlefield. This is about gaming finally feeling alive, again. So, what does all this mean? It means Battlefield 6 didn't just launch a successful game. It changed the entire landscape of FPS gaming. It pushed Activision into action. It woke up a sleeping industry. It proved that COD's throne isn't invincible. And it reminded players that competition is the lifeblood of innovation. Maybe Battlefield 6 will outsell Black Ops 7. Maybe it won't. Maybe BO7 rebounds. Maybe BF6 continues its momentum. But the truth is, it doesn't matter. Because no matter who wins this year's battle, the players already won the war. We're getting better games, stronger updates, more communication, more innovation, and more passion. All because two franchises finally started pushing each other again. The FPS genre needed this fight. The community needed this fight. And gaming as a whole is better for it. So, if you're a COD player, enjoy the improvements. If you're a Battlefield fan, enjoy your comeback moment. If you're both, you're living in the best timeline possible. Because the future of shooters won't be decided by one franchise, It'll be decided by the battle between them.